He pulled his hand away slowly, almost unwillingly, as if he'd been drifting inside a dream too vivid to let go of. I stayed where I was, breathing with careful control, feeling my heartbeat settle against the stillness around us. The warmth he'd left on my skin throbbed softly, echoing somewhere deeper than a simple touch. The room felt suspended, holding a quiet that seemed sacred, like the instant before an unspoken truth finally surfaces. My robe had slipped a bit from my shoulder, but I didn't lift a finger to fix it. Not yet. There are moments when silence speaks louder than anything we could say, and that night wasn't defined by the act itself but by what lingered afterward, the quiet realization that sometimes care reveals more than we intend. That intention can hide inside the softest gesture. When it all started, it looked harmless. Just an attempt to ease the strain I'd watched him carry for weeks. The stiffness in his posture, the fatigue woven into his voice. I told myself it was only comfort, nothing more. Yet while I prepared the room, I already sensed it was different. The towel lay perfectly placed, the eucalyptus scent drifting through the air in a calm that slowed everything around us. I smoothed a small fold near his shoulder and murmured, "Just breathe. I'm right here." His eyes fell shut, a faint smile brushing his lips, trusting without hesitation, maybe more than he should have. And then she stepped inside, steady and graceful, her presence filling the room without needing words. Her hair was pulled back, her frame poised, each movement intentional yet soft. When her hands touched his shoulders, the change was instant, a gentle unraveling, a release he hadn't even realized he'd been carrying. I stayed near the edge of the room, watching quietly. He believed I had stepped out, that I'd prepared everything for him and left him alone in that calm. He had no idea I was still there, silent and unseen, watching the ease settle into his body. Her hands moved with practiced precision, neither possessive nor detached, but fluent, as if speaking a language without sound. His breathing deepened, and his fingers twitched. Maybe nothing more than a reflex, yet to me it felt like the first spark of awareness. She paused for a moment, her voice gentle but certain. "Steady now," she murmured, the words drifting into the room more than to him. He didn't reply, but a small crease formed between his brows, recognition beginning to surface beneath the serenity. Something inside him shifted. I leaned a little closer, observing the transformation. The way tension melted from him, how surrender slipped in softly like dusk settling over still water. When I finally rose, she sensed it first. Her eyes met mine, a silent question resting there. I gave a slight nod, and she understood without a word. I moved closer and took a seat beside him, close enough that my presence stirred gently against his awareness. When I placed my hand lightly on his arm, his breath hitched, his eyes fluttered open for a moment, unfocused and searching. And then he saw me. He didn't speak, he didn't have to. The realization in his gaze told me he understood I'd never left, that this quiet relief was something I had created for him, not as control but as a reminder of what peace could feel like. She continued her work softly, her rhythm unbroken, her tone steady. The atmosphere had shifted, now thicker, meaningful, charged with understanding neither of us voiced. When she looked back at me once more, her eyes asked gently, "Are you sure?" "Yes," I whispered. "This is for him." He shifted slightly toward the sound of my voice, his expression soft, unsure, yet entirely trusting. He didn't realize that this moment wasn't just about comfort but about what it symbolized: being noticed without demand, being cared for without expecting anything in return. The rest of the session unfolded in almost complete silence, her touch slowing into something meditative, each movement seeming to whisper, "You're allowed to rest." Outside, the fading light turned gold and gray, while inside the air felt warm and heavy with a rare kind of quiet. He had settled now, centered in a stillness he rarely allowed himself. I let my hand drift gently along his arm, a steady reminder that he wasn't alone, and his fingers shifted to rest over Mina, small gesture, but layered with understanding. She finished her work softly and stepped back, her presence retreating like a tide. When he opened his eyes, blinking against the softened glow, the clarity in them surprised me, not from waking, but from release. I offered a faint smile and brushed a strand of hair from his forehead. "Better," I whispered. A quiet laugh escaped him, barely a breath. "Better," he echoed. I didn't realize how much I needed that. I nodded, feeling my own voice tremble. "I know." She gathered her things without a word, and before leaving, she paused to give me a small, knowing smile, as if she understood every unspoken truth shared in that room. When the door clicked shut behind her, he turned toward me again, his gaze clear but heavy with meaning. "You planned this," he said quietly. I had. He didn't ask for an explanation, but I offered one anyway because he forgets how to slow down. because he gives until nothing is left, because I wanted him to remember what it feels like to truly rest. He didn't respond. He simply reached for my hand and held it, and the silence between us finally felt calm. Finally enough,